So we've talked about how much Adam Silver just fawns over Europe. Just loves it. Just loves everything about the culture. Clearly wants to be a part of the culture. Wants this culture to be a part of the NBA in some way. And now I feel like there's even more evidence of that. A new country has struck Adam Silver's fancy, and it is France. Currently in love, currently a Francophile. Real quick, as an aside, if you look at Adam Silver, does he kind of just look like the guy who, just picture him in your mind. Doesn't he look like someone who would correct you for saying croissant wrong? Like, it's croissant. It's croissant. It's bonjour. It's like, okay, guy, you're American. Doesn't he seem kind of like the guy who has a couple, maybe 5, maybe 7 berets in his closet in different colors that he wears with a turtleneck when he goes out to a French restaurant and orders foie gras? Like, doesn't that seem like Adam Silver? Like, you just know when he goes to dinner parties, he regales you with that time that he discovered one of the best cheeses on the planet when he took his trip with his lovely wife to Roquefort. You know? Like, that's him. That's Adam Silver. And he's going to shove French culture down our throats whether we like it or not. That's just what's going down. So last week, they decided to have a game in Paris. The NBA did. First ever game in the City of Lights. Who played in that game? Was it Lakers Bucks? Was it somebody star-studded? Did we get to see, I don't know, did we get to see Steph Curry and the Warriors play against, I don't know, even the Boston Celtics? Oh, it was much better than that. Something really to just warm your palate up a little bit, get the juices going. It was they decided to send the dead last Detroit Pistons with a total of 12 wins. The Chicago Bulls on the verge of a rebuild. Did the French, have they not been tuning into the NBA since the Michael Jordan era? Because that game in 1991 would have been amazing. But hey, Zach LaVine's name does sound a little French. Lavin. Zach Lavin. So that counts, I think, for something. So I'm watching the game at 3 p.m., which is in itself weird. But nothing is weirder than when you're watching Adam Silver share macaroons with Emmanuel Macron, a French president, right? Like, that's how he wanted me to say it. I wouldn't say it like that. That's how he wanted me to say it. So, according to AP over a cafe, Adam Silver and Macron struck a deal to work together with the hopes of continuing to grow the game of basketball internationally in France. So the question is, why now? Why are we doing this now? Well, if you know anything about what's popping around the league, you know why. Adam Silver has been commissioner for a very long time. We know he's been loving things France, all things French since, I don't know, like he went to the Louvre on a senior class trip at his private school. We know he's been in love with French women for 50 years now. So why the urgency? Why this international deal at this moment? I mean, it's very simple. It's 2 words. It's Victor Wembanyama. Like, it's him. Yeah. The guy Magic Johnson just came out and called the best player of the world. He is coming to America, presumably going to blow basketball up in France along the way because the French are going to be so excited. They've only had Tony Parker and Rudy Gobert and Evan Fournier. Like, they finally get a real guy in the NBA, right? They finally get someone they can be proud of, not some chucklehead that they all get made fun of about. And then you add in the 2024 Olympics, which, by the way, is in Paris, even though we just had the Olympics in Tokyo, feels like just yesterday. And now we have a full-blown partnership going on. So what is in this international accord that they just struck? First and foremost, they're going to have a collab between the NBA and the LNB, the French Professional Basketball League. So we already saw that to a degree so far this year. More exhibitions like we saw with the Metropolitan 92 and Victor Wembanyama against the G League Ignite and Scoot Henderson, right? That was a game that we all like to see. It was in Vegas. It was lit. And beyond that, there were two things that came from this trip. The leagues are going to hype up the Olympics, probably meaning that Adam Silver is going to put pressure on all the big stars to show up and play. Steph Curry, you're fucking playing in these Olympics now. Like, you're not ducking this anymore. You're on the tail end. You've been saying you've been part of this championship window. You don't want to compete in international basketball because it messes up your training regimen and your calendar of load and duration and frequency, and you don't want to tail off before the season gets to a turning point. But no. You're playing in Paris, Steph. That's what's happening. DeMar DeRozan is already committed. The second thing that they decided on is fascinating. NBA and French officials are going to work together to grow the game in Africa. Why? Well, we've heard this multiple times from folks like Jerry West, other GMs around the league are talking about, okay, hoopers from Victor Wembanyama, Rudy Gobert, Mbappe in soccer, all having roots in Africa. Jerry West has said that at Summer League that the NBA is deeply interested in that corner of the world because that partnership feels like probably where the NBA is going. Future of the league all stems from that France-Africa connection. And now Adam Silver has aligned himself with the government whose colonial policies control most of the area. So it's a win-win, right? Like, so who knows what that means? What is the end goal of all this? Well, there's a closer relationship most likely between the NBA and the EuroLeague. And surprise, surprise, the same day of the accords of the EuroLeague announced they were having talks to fix the kind of fractured relationship between the two entities. Everybody wants the Olympic Games to go well, right? But ultimately, for Adam Silver, a franchise in Paris has to be the end game. Pick me. I'm coming. I'm going. Whatever the name of the franchise is, I am in. I'm changing my entire life. I'm sure that they would love an NBA betting analyst to show up and eat some macaroons with Macron. I don't think it's going to happen like tomorrow, but maybe like 10 years. 10, 15 years from now, the NBA is going to be international, folks, in our lifetime. And Paris, of course, is at the top of Adam Silver's wish list.